Lightning's offense finally explodes with a 6-1 win to break the losing streak, but more injury news to talk about. Is it time to start worrying about Victor Hedman's future with this team? We'll talk about it in today's Locked On Lightning.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free daily Tampa Bay Lightning podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcasting network. As always, we want to begin with a shout out to our everydayers. Those of you who tune in every single show, every single day, we love you and we appreciate the support you give us week in, week out. I'm Nick Morgan, and I am joined by the Huckleberry Finn to my Tom Sawyer, Greg Stephen. Greg, thank God we actually have a win to talk about today.
Yeah, thank God. What a great Wednesday. And thank God I picked the over yesterday. Absolutely lucky, keeping my predictions alive. Yeah,
maybe we'll slowly start giving you more permission to make picks now. One thing at a time, though. News isn't all great when it comes to the Lightning. Victor Hedman left the game after the first period again. This is another, injury after he missed a big chunk of change at the beginning of the season. Is it time to start worrying about maybe his long-term future when it comes to his health? Plus, we got to talk about Jonas Johansson, a heroic performance the past 2 days. Is it time for me to eat crow and admit I was wrong about Jojo before the season started? That plus more takeaways from this game. A lot to get to. Before we kick it all off, do want to mention today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live bets all season long. All right, Greg, let's talk about the Lightning's 6-1 win last night over the Montreal Canadiens. Back-to-back games, the Lightning were shut out. And the Lightning respond by putting up enough offense to make up for the last couple of games and this one as well.
Yeah, 100%. They all looked great. And look, Jojo was a unit as usual. And Kucherov looked good. And Brayden Point finally notching a point. I think about this game was very good for the Lightning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot that went right for them. Yeah, Greg, let's start with our plus minus from this game. Give me something you liked. Give me something you didn't like.
Plus for me is Brayden Point finally looking alive, getting some points, and that's exactly what I was hoping for yesterday. Just want him to start rolling again.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Brayden Point was going to be a plus for me too. I even thought the Toronto game, which was the first game that he came back after his injury, he looked really strong, had a bunch of shots on goal. And then obviously goal and assist here yesterday, including one just 2 minutes in that got the scoring started for the Bolts. This is agree with me, Greg, here when I say that this is the most Brayden Point-like that Brayden Point has looked like since I would say maybe the first 2 games of the season.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you. This was the most Brayden Point I think we've seen thus far this season. And obviously we've talked about his struggles. But this one, I thought he looked more like him in 2025, really.
Yeah. I'm going to give a plus, Greg, to Darren Radish. Another guy that I think we're going to definitely need to talk more about over the next couple of days, especially as it comes to Hedman's injury. But, 2 goals last night was +3, including a power play goal. It's interesting that when the Lightning went, the extra skater after pulling the goalie against Toronto, it wasn't Hedman that came onto the ice. It was Darren Radish. He's just been playing so well, and defensively again last night, I think he had a really solid performance. Again, this is a guy that's gone from the extra skater at the beginning of the season, like the 7th man was healthy, scratched a bunch, to somebody who's playing 24, 25 minutes a night for this team and playing well. in those minutes. I think it's another strong performance for Radish, and his legend's growing, Greg.
It is. It is. It's crazy how great he's been in the last few games, especially like as you said, we were kind of ragging on him in the beginning of the season, and now look at him. He's kind of the main guy right now.
Yeah, it is crazy to see his rise, considering somebody, he was somebody that at the beginning of the season, you and I were both like, I am not fully sure he's going to make one of the 6 top defensive spots. So yeah,
Right.
it's been a crazy ride for Darren Radish for sure. All right, Greg, give me a minus from this game. What's something that you didn't like?
Great question. I think maybe it was Jake Gensel. I thought he didn't look particularly great in this one. I think he wasn't quite on his game. I think recently Gensel has been a little less impressive than he has been throughout the beginning of the season.
That's interesting. Why do you feel that?
I think for me, it's kind of a bad taste in my mouth from yesterday's game or 2 days ago's game. Just a little bit of lazy defense. And then this one, I felt like he was just not as noticeable as like Kucherov was. And not that he always needs to be, but I just felt like he just wasn't in the usual star as usual. I don't know. Just wasn't feeling him this game.
No. I am going to go a minus for this one for the second period. And it's, the Lightning went up 3-0 in the first. They kick off the second period with a goal just about 2 minutes in from Charles-Edouard to Stowe. 4-0. Everything is going great. And then here comes some penalties. Nikita Kucherov gets a 2-minute minor. Desto had another penalty towards the end. And it seems like the Lightning just kind of collapsed in that period a little bit after that. The momentum shifted hard towards Montreal. The Habs outshot the Lightning 15-4 in the second period.
Yeah.
Which is, grand scheme of things, hey, the Lightning won, cool, we don't need to overreact to it. And the Lightning rebounded in the third. But again, we talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the year where penalties seem to derail some good stretches. I would love to see the Lightning clean that up a little bit, especially when you're taking a big lead. You're going to get some pushback from the other team. I would have liked to see them tighten up a little bit more.
Yeah, totally valid. We kind of talked about discipline. I talked about discipline yesterday, and I think there are definitely instances in this game where it's kind of like let's reel it in a little bit. Let's dial up the discipline. But yeah, it is very interesting how swingy the Lightning have been lately. Like one period that will be absolutely dominant, and then another, all of a sudden they take their foot off the gas. And I don't know if it's that they drain the tank in a period, but yeah, for sure. I'm with you. I think the second period was interesting.
Yeah. Of course, there is another big minus to talk about, Greg. And that's Victor Hedman injured again. Is it time to maybe start talking about Victor Hedman's future with the Lightning? Not that he's going anywhere, but just in his usage. We'll talk about that coming up in just 1 second.
Right.
Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch. The holidays are amazing, but let's be honest, guys, they can get overwhelming very fast. From travel to gifts, all the parties, the year-end expenses you have to wrap up. It's really easy to lose track of your money this time of year. That's why Monarch has become such a game changer for me and thousands like me. If you want to keep your finances under control, you need to be using Monarch. It's rated Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. Monarch is an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your financial life together in one clean, simple dashboard. The holiday spending category is a lifesaver for me. I just put in what I want to spend for presents, parties, gifts, trinkets, cookies, the like. And anytime I buy something in that category, I see exactly what's left in my budget in real time. They also have other categories, including travel, so you're not overspending this holiday season, flying to and from different family members' house. And in minutes, you can check your net worth. I linked all of my accounts there, my credit cards, investments, 401ks, all that stuff. So I can see spending in real time, and the smart categorization makes it easy to see where my money is going. So don't let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. Again, 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. Welcome back to Locked on Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Stephen. And Greg, news isn't all good after the Lightning's 6-1 win over the Montreal Canadiens. Victor Hedman, who just came back into the lineup a little bit ago after missing about a month of action, left the game early again. Exited right after the first period, did not return to the game. John Cooper said afterwards that Victor Hedman will be evaluated tomorrow, this week when they get back to Tampa. But he said, quote, "It is a bit of a concern." Obviously, injuries have been a headline for Victor Hedman this season. He was injured in preseason, missed a little bit of camp. Obviously missed a big chunk of change in October, November due to injuries. Just came back here recently, injured again, and nobody really seems to be optimistic. So, Greg, is it time to start worrying about the Lightning captain's long-term future with this team?
Yeah, it's a great question, honestly. I was having the same thought as soon as I read that he was maybe injured seriously. I think it's valid to be concerned. I think it's valid for a lot of reasons. One, that he's been injured a lot lately, and two, his age. Something I found interesting was that on ESPN, they wrote in their article that he hasn't looked like himself since he did return from injury. And I actually don't agree with that. I thought he was playing well, to be honest with you. So I wasn't sure about that, but I don't think it's about skill is I guess my point. I think he still has the talent. It's not about that. It's just strictly for me
to me, and I'll put it like this. It's not the same Victor Hedman this year as we've seen the past, like we've seen from prime Victor Hedman. He does look a little bit slower. And again, that's expected of anybody who's been in the league as long as he has. I would say when he's on, you can definitely see that he has been one of the best defensemen in the league during his career here with the Lightning. Like, obviously one of the top 5 best defensemen in the league. You see that in certain moments, but there's also moments in which he looks anywhere from above average to average. Now, that sounds like a weird thing to nitpick to me, Greg, but it's also Victor Hedman we're talking about. The Lightning have won 2 Stanley Cups and gotten to another Cup final, or 2 more Cup finals, if you want to count, back in Chicago in the 2000s. But they got to those cups and won those cups because he was elite, because he was an elite defenseman.
Right.
And the eliteness just isn't there right now. And so here we have another injury for Victor Hedman. And I almost compare it to after Stamkos got hurt again, after those cup wins, where you could just
going to bring that up.
Yeah, where you could just see this isn't the same player. And he's still a useful player. Like, you can still use him in a very strong way and get value out of him. So, like, don't make me – nobody listen to this rant and say, like, oh, Victor Hedman's washed. We need to trade him. The Lightning need to cut him, blah, 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 blah. That is not what I'm saying at all. I am just saying I think it's time maybe to consider looking at Victor Hedman in maybe a different light. Greg, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think It's interesting because right now I wouldn't say there is necessarily a defenseman on the Lightning that is a superstar.
Aaron
They don't
Radish,
have a
baby.
Cale Makar. Darren Radish, baby. No, they just don't have like a Cale Makar or one like Quinn Hughes. They don't have those guys, and that's okay because I think overall the defense is very well rounded. But Victor Hedman was that guy, and yeah, his prime is over. I think that's easy to admit. I think most fans would admit that as well. But as far as his future concerned, uh, with these injuries stacking up, doesn't look good. And I forget what his deal is right now. Can you remind me?
I think he was dealing with some kind of undisclosed injury. I know,
Oh, I
like
meant
John
his
Cooper didn't.
contract. Sorry.
Oh, contract. I mean, he's locked up for like
Yeah.
a while. I know that. Like
Like 3 more
his
years?
contract doesn't come up at least for a few years.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's not like you can really. I don't know if you can really even move him if you really wanted to.
Oh, no. There is no world in which I think you move Victor Hedman.
No, me neither. I was just like thinking about what they could do, and I don't think that's even on the table.
No. Yeah, like I said, this isn't a situation in which you look at Victor Hedman and be like, this guy's washed, this guy's hurting the team. We need to get him off the team. But it is a situation in
Right.
which if you're the Lightning, you're going to be like, what's the future of our top pair here? Because I'm not sure we can rely
Mm-hmm.
on Victor Hedman to be that automatic number one surefire 25-minute a night defenseman anymore. I think Victor Hedman is still a very good defenseman. I would just say,
Yeah.
based on his play lately and the injury concerns he's had, I think it's time for the Lightning to start taking a good hard look at their defense and saying, is there something else that we can be doing here?
Yeah, I agree. I think if I had to pick a guy, it's JJ Moser, to be honest with you. I think he's just so defensively sound. And the issue is you won't get that offensive upside from him. But yeah, as far as Hedman goes, I hope he comes back soon.
This is a debate I'm going to push till tomorrow because I do think that there is somebody who has stepped up and been the Lightning's number one defenseman this year, and I think could be somebody you sort of pencil
Okay.
in moving forward. Do we trust Aaron Radish enough to be the number one defenseman? Maybe not long term, but
It's
for
a
the
great
rest of the
question.
season. He's certainly earned it. It's just how much longevity is there going to be? That's a topic let's debate on tomorrow's Locked on Lightning, along with some other topics there. For more, we're going to have more
Yeah.
on this game coming up, including Jonas Johansson back-to-back wins in back-to-back starts. Or let me do that again. Back-to-back starts, gets a win, plays well in both games with Andrei Vasilevsky hurt. Is it time for me to start eating crow about Jonas Johansson's play this season? Find
Yes.
out when Locked on Lightning returns. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Just like hockey, NFL Sundays also move fast. One big play and suddenly the entire game feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. And live betting is best when the game starts to shift. Maybe your receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or momentum flips with a turnover or a drop past Mr. Emeka Ibuka. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment live with live in-game bets. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. So if Bucky Irving's tearing it up on the ground, his player props are going to change and heat up a bit so you can win more money. You can also bet on anything from next touchdown scores to results of the drive that you're on right now, totals, and much, much more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, and more importantly, every possibility of the game. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL bets all season long. You can also go to FanDuel.com and download the app. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. We're back on Locked on Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Stephen. And real quick, having an interesting announcement for all of you guys who are loyal listeners of Locked on Lightning. You already have your team every day. Now you can take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked on Lightning with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. If this sounds interesting to you, go to lockedonpodcast.com or check in the link in our show notes to learn more. All right, Greg, let's talk about the 6-1 win last night over the Montreal Canadiens. Lightning finally end the losing streak. And a stick tap from me has to go to Jonas Johansson. Obviously, Andrei Vasilevsky was hurt, was not a part of this road trip. Brandon Halverson got called up from the AHL. And somebody actually commented on our YouTube page, and it's like, do you see Halverson getting a start in one of these two games? And I commented back. I said, I don't know. If Jonas Johansson looks solid, I think this is a situation in which you play your backup in back-to-back games. That's exactly what happened. And Jonas Johansson delivered a great game against Toronto the other day, even though he got the loss, made all but one save on that one. And then this game, I think especially in the second period where the Habs started pressing a bit, Jonas Johansson really slammed the door and kept the Lightning firmly, momentum on their side, even as the Habs were pushing. So, Greg, what do you think of Jonas Johansson these past couple games?
Look, I am a huge Jojo guy. I've always been. Even last season, everyone was ragging on him, and I said he's a good goalie. He just doesn't get the consistent playing time that other goalies get, and that's just. I said this on a yesterday's show. Playing backup goalie in the NHL is one of the hardest positions, 100%, because you just don't see the puck as much as other goalies. So stepping in can be difficult, especially when you don't play so often, like Jojo, because he's so reliant on C. That being said, he's allowed 2 goals on 52 shots in the last 2 games. That's insane. That's great goaltending. Yeah. I don't think you can get anything better than that, right? I mean, even Massey, and you're getting the same product, I think. So not saying that they are the same caliber of goaltender right now, but in the last 2 games, they look like they are.
It's interesting because we don't even see like starters a whole lot anymore do back-to-backs unless it's like deep in a playoff run, or like a team fighting for a playoff spot and you need your A guy. So I do want to acknowledge Jonas Johansson these past 2 games. Stick tap, because that's hard. That's a lot of minutes for a goalie. Yeah. And on back-to-back. That's why we just don't see it happen a lot in the NHL, especially at this point in the season. Before the season, Greg, we talked about Jonas Johansson a little bit. He was, his numbers, in my defense, were slightly below average while he has been here. And I argued whether or not like there was a upgrade to be made in terms of a backup goaltender, especially for what the Lightning are paying Jonas Johansson. I also casted doubt as to if Andrei Vasilevsky got hurt, if he would be a guy that steps in and carries the helm, or B, is this a guy that you would feel comfortable as your, for whatever reason, maybe like a goalie of the future or somebody that can step in. Is it time for me to start eating crow about Jonas Johansson?
Yes, it is, because he is a good backup goaltender. I would say he's one of the better ones. I think it's overlooked because the Lightning have been so poor defensively in front of him in the last 2 years. So I think it does skew his numbers, like you kind of alluded to. Like the numbers do show maybe not the best goalie on paper. But yeah, I really think a lot of it comes down to their defensive play in front of him. Like last season, I can recall at least 2 or 3 games where they allowed 5 goals. And like I was on my old Instagram, I was writing about how all the goals were not on him at all. They're just terrible defensive blown coverages. So, yeah, I've always been a Jojo guy, so I do think it is time for you to admit that he is the guy.
Jump on the bandwagon. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's played really well this season, especially I would say like he had a really good start to this season. Had a couple of whoopsie games in there, and then has played really strong ever since. And I'm willing to backtrack on Jonas Johansson. I feel a lot better watching his play this season. It's just so weird for goalies, Greg. Like, it's just goaltending in the NHL is just such a weird dynamic.
It is.
Because it's just like you have like somebody like Aiden Hill who goes from being a third string at the start of the season to looking like the best goalie in the world for 2 years. And now I don't even think Aiden Hill is starting anymore in Vegas. It's just such a hot or cold, dynamic for goaltenders. You have, first round picks that come in are gangbusters for 2 years and then wind up in the AHL like 3 years later, or a backup for some guy named Milos Bilos from Latvia on the Calgary Flames. It's goaltending in the NHL is just such a weird dynamic. It's so much of who's hot. It's just so much of who just winds up on the best form of their life that look just like the elite goalies of the world. And so for me, Jonas Johansson, sure. I mean, if this is his hot streak, fine. If this is who he is at his core, even better. I mean, his career numbers still, slightly below average, but I think a .908 save percentage this year, which for a backup goaltender is kind of exactly what you want. Yeah, I mean, whatever, man. Whatever. As long as he's playing well, I'm happy.
Yeah, as long as the Lightning are picking up wins, that's all you can ask for, really, right? And he's done a great job in these last 2 games. I honestly would argue that in the Leafs game, he really kept them alive. So even though he picked up an L there, that's still a victory in my mind for him specifically, because I thought he played a great game.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see the goaltending situation for the next couple of games. I believe just based on like retroactive timing, Andrei Vasilevsky is eligible to come off the IR tomorrow against New Jersey. Of course, we don't know the extent of his injury or, health-wise, anything like that. But a couple of tough games coming up. The Tampa Bay Lightning are on the road against the Devils tomorrow. And then Saturday afternoon on the road against the New York Islanders, which based on the past week, Greg, is the best team in the NHL.
For real.
The Tampa Bay Lightning. So it's going to be interesting to see the goaltending situation and A, whether Vazzy comes back, and B, whether Jonas Johansson can keep up this consistency. Because at this point, with a break today and then a break in between those games, I think it's safe to say if Vazzy's not healthy, Jojo's your guy.
Yeah, agreed. I think he starts in all of these.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to say the least. It's going to be interesting to see how they play it. We'll, of course, have a preview of the game tomorrow. Also talk about the future of the Lightning's defense, and then a recap coming at you on Friday. For those of you who listen every day, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can get all our latest episodes, plus help us out a little bit with our numbers. You can also find us on social media at Locked On Lightning, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much wherever you scroll. And here's something fun. Did Locked On Lightning make your Spotify Wrapped this year? Prove it on social media, and you can secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. All you have to do is post it on your story, on your post, and tag our national Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform. We'll drop you a code. You can be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club and get your favorite show ad-free, as well as exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. That's going to do it for us on today's Locked On Lightning. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Back with a new episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.